Evening and welcome to another edition of Diatribes with the voice of doom. And now here's your host, the voice of doom. Thank you. I think the announcer has a few too many before our evening editions of the show because he sounds a little bit, So, going on with 2021, or sort of. It's not even 2021, but it's the aftermath, and I wanted to talk about how you kind of finally get to clear out all the stuff that really doesn't pertain to your life anymore. And the way my wife and I had our living situations, we kind of had our own stuff kind of set apart. We didn't mingle stuff. You can mingle dishes and forks and knives, but you don't mingle your personal effects from the past. And I mean, I don't really care about her past. She destroyed anything that reminds her of anything bad from her past, but she was going to destroy everything from my past too, and I really didn't want that because she already had one episode of that. I don't know. Maybe it's better to just go backwards a bit. I wanted to do this with the meaning of life, explaining how precarious it is that even two people would meet. It's 1,000,000,000 to 1 that you even met your wife or your girlfriend. You don't realize it until you look back, because then you have to realize that thousands of different choices had to be made before you were even in the right place to meet the person that might bear your children, that you might start a family and start a dynasty with. It's very strange, but you have to look back. You have to really think about it. What happened to make this happen? And that's the basic meaning of life. And I just want to go back because when I first started dating Carla, it was because we were both Buddhists. She was beautiful, and I thought she was lonely, and I was kind of lonely. I could be alone, but I didn't really want to. I was torn between wanting a family and wanting to change sex or wanting to be a different person. Who knows? But I know I wanted to be with a woman. And she was beautiful, and she was lonely, and she was angry, and I could see that. She was really frustrated, so I decided to say, hey, why don't we go out, have a little dinner, have a whatever, cocktail or two. And of course, I won her over very quickly because I'm a charmer and I know how to do it. And then it put her in the dilemma about whether she wanted a relationship with this person who really had no future, or if she wanted to keep on looking and sabotage herself the whole time because she knew that she wasn't worthy because she got pregnant when she was 15, and it was a bad setup at the outset, and she had a daughter, and she struggled, and her perseverance and her fortitude is incredible because she worked her ass off to raise this girl by herself. And my mother-in-law helped, and the girl became more attached to the mother-in-law because the mother-in-law took care of her on a daily basis and doted on her, whereas Carla did all the work and worked 3 or 4 jobs and never got a chance to really see her. So that's when I entered the picture, and I had visions of us 3 going out and flying kites. I've seen a lot of Disney movies, and I've seen that life can be beautiful if you just make it happen instead of saying, no, is this too good to be true? So I went out with her and her daughter, Rosa, after we had been going out for a while, and then I guess she left the car for a minute, went somewhere, and Rosa said, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's just like, why are you hanging out with my mom? And I'm like, well, because I like her. And she's like, well, she's crazy. And I kind of took that remark as just a kid who's, 11 and doesn't have a father figure, doesn't have a family intact per se, but, her mom joined this weird religious, practice and kind of put all her time and effort into it. And it seemed like she was crazy. And I'm like, I don't think she's crazy. I think she's just, needs to be some stability. And I didn't really talk too deep about it with her. I just thought it was a 10-year-old saying her mom was crazy. But she was crazy. Yeah, she was insane. And I found that out very quickly. And I still wanted to be with her because once I'd make my mind up and commit and say, I want this, and if you can give me this, then I'll never ask for anything again. I'm talking to the universe. And it's like, I get it, and now I don't know if I, should have gotten it. A lot of things you really wish for that think will make your life perfect turn out to be a nightmare because she was crazy. And I'll give you an example. I'm not even going to get into her closet yet. That was what I was supposed to do. But it is kind of getting into her closet because timing is everything. 5 or 10 seconds can make the difference in your life for a long period of time. And it can alleviate a bunch of destruction and recriminations and hatred because my ex-girlfriend got me into the Buddhist practice. And we were kind of in the same area. I kind of was with her a little bit, and then I got independent, and then I met Carla, and we were starting to go out, but we were all in the same little group. But unfortunately, I didn't really know that there was a karmic relationship between Carla and my ex-girlfriend that probably goes back billions of centuries. And she was at the meeting. I was on cloud 9. I thought I'd finally won her over. I finally convinced Carla that we can be together and it'll be good. And I go to the meeting in my car, my old, whatever it was, Impala, 72 Impala, big old tank that I bought for $500, and I thought I was styling in LA. And drove to the meeting, saw her car there, everything's hunky-dory. See my ex-girlfriend drive up in her little moped, and we say hi and walk to the house, which was a thing that would cause more trouble for me for many, many decades because we saw each other and said hi and walked to the house. And I opened up the door, and she walked in, and I walked in behind her, and she went and talked to some people, and I went into the kitchen and saw Carla sitting there, and said, hi, how's it going? And she had a very glowering face on that was something that I would think Satan would cringe to see. And I'm like, I didn't think anything of it, and I sat down and was talking to her, and she suddenly grabbed me by the throat. And I was thinking this is kind of a joke, but she was squeezing my throat. And I'm like, what's going on? It's like, why are you with her? I was, I trusted you, and now you're with her. And I'm like, I just walked in the door with her, but it was too late. That was 5 seconds that would ruin my life because she hated her forever after that. And I could never get past it. So you see, innocent little thing causes turmoil forever. Because she's always like, your ex-girlfriend, you're always helping her, you're talking to her, I don't like you talking to her, I don't like you being with her, I don't like you seeing her. And I used to goad her, and I used to help her find a job where I was working just to make her life miserable, because it's like, you're going to make me miserable, I'll do the same exact thing. And I had my ex-girlfriend working with me. And I told her, well, take that and shove it up your because it was bad. The marriage was great. I mean, the Rosa, the daughter, was loving it and thinking, yeah, life will be stable, and we were all smiles. And we did it. We didn't have too much trouble. She destroyed a lot of my stuff. That's why I didn't want to mingle our personal effects, because she associated my personal past with something that she had nothing to do with, and she didn't like that. So a lot of my stuff was destroyed, a lot of mementos and memorabilia. It taught me a lot. It taught me that the whole earth will be dust one day, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, billions of years, whatever, People don't think in the big picture. I mean, your pictures and your photos, they're great for now, but eventually it'll all be dust, or it'll be buried under 20 feet of lava. At any rate, it's the memories in your own head and your own life force that goes on that's going to carry on everything. But at any rate, it was a mess, because when Max came along, that was when we stabilized, because it's like, now we got a kid and I ain't going nowhere, so we better get along and raise this kid. We can do what we want later, but if we have a kid, I ain't going to be visiting and having some guy come in and take over and whatever. No, it's not going to happen. And I'm not a murderous person who would say, I'll do it my way or nothing, but I'm like, I'm not going to be divorced. I don't care how much we hate each other. So we were separate in a way, all our marriage. Her stuff was in the closet and my stuff was in the closet, and my stuff is very kinky, very interesting. You can see I got a lot of, attire, and I change my image quite often. And she had a lot of stuff in her closet, and I looked in there, and there was a lot of folders that she had been writing in with very frenetic and small writing, like for hours and end, kind of like in The Shining. Just all this kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just lots of writing. And some of it gets smaller and smaller. And there's like 20 of these that I found. I can't find the one that was really weird, because the writing got so small that she actually had 2 lines of prose on each line of the line paper. So it's getting smaller and smaller, and I wanted to read it to see what she was babbling about, because you can tell she's just like frenetically acting like somebody that's kind of off her rocker a bit, kind of like in The Shining, when that scene with Jack Nicholson, all work and no play, and he does it, That's the kind of feeling I was getting. And that was weird. I also noticed she was writing a lot of letters to people, and a lot of very interesting prose and letters that were kind of articulate. And I noticed that she had more of a brain than I kind of gave her credit for, because she never wanted to read. And we talked about philosophical and politics on a much deeper level than the average whatever out there, for sure. So even if she wasn't that into reading, she was much, much better off than the average idiot who just follows orders blindly and believes that the government is basically good, or whatever they do. I mean, they look at madness and say, it's okay, I believe in this. But no, we had good conversations, but we could have had better ones, because she was way smarter than I thought. And I'll close this with the last thing I saw was lots of clothes, pretty clothes, very nice clothes, glamorous clothes, mini skirts, long skirts, dresses. And it's like, she always dressed like she was like a girl from Green Acres or something, the handyman, and fully dykey and she always dressed kind of frumpy and dykey, and it's like, these women are always, coming on. It's like, because you dress like you're a freaking trucker, bull dyke. I mean, it's just a euphemism to describe, She was just she dressed down, and it's like, why do you dress so plain, or, jeans and a vest? And it's like, well, the guys and men always ogle me, and it's like, well, it's true because you're beautiful. It doesn't matter what you're wearing, so why don't you wear something nice? And she had lots of nice clothes, and she knew I was into women's accoutrements. Be a little classy there. And she deliberately kind of was frumpy. And I kind of felt like, wow, we could have done things differently. Just two things I found, and then I went backwards, so it took longer. When I do the next episode, it'll be more like everything's cleared out and unexpected things fall into my lap and fall onto my head, because what seems like it's going to be great turns out to be not as great as I thought. So, yeah, the next episode will be really good. It's going to be really interesting, life lessons and all that. So thanks. It was fun. I hope there was something in there. I don't know. We'll see. Good night, everybody.